everybody and welcome. Today in this video I'm going to be showing you how to make these beautiful little daisies. You can call them gerberas if you want as well. Really pretty little flowers, and we're going to be making these from crepe paper. Hope you enjoy. This is the crepe paper that I have chose to use today. Beautiful array of colours, and I've chosen this really nice pink because it's nice and vibrant. So, mixture of colours. First thing we need to do is make a little template. This is just out of a little piece of card. Cereal boxes are perfect for this. And this is my crepe paper. What I need to do is cut. I tend to look at the width that I need to cut my paper, and then I just start cutting a nice thin line. Now we need to do this. Now I've done this a few times, so I'm going to do it without the template, but we need to do this 3 times. So we need 3 strips of our chosen paper, and I'm using pink. This looks really nice in white, well, in all the colours actually. I've done it in all of them, even the blues. Looks really pretty. Now once we've done that, we've got our paper ready and our template. The next thing we need is a wire. Now this is a 24 gauge wire, and I'll just take it out of the packet, and they are quite long. You can cut it in either 2 or 3. I'm going to cut it in 2 today. Now we're going to get our template, and you can measure. Now I might be able to get 5 out of here, so I'm just carefully folding. I think I'm only going to get 4, so actually let's make it nice and easy. Let's fold it in half, and then in half again lengthways. Now what this does, it just makes it easier when you're cutting out the templates, because you're going to cut 4 petals out instead of just the 1. So very carefully with a pair of scissors, go around your template. Now you might find it easier to draw around the template first. I don't, I just go for it, but everybody is different. Once we've done that, remove the template, make sure you're happy with the shape, and put it to one side. Now remember, we have cut out 4 templates in one there. Now we do exactly the same with the next piece of paper. So this is to make sure you get enough petals. And I do find folding the paper just a little bit easier. It speeds the process up a little bit. If I was doing really complicated petals, I'd slow down. Just trimming up the edges there. So there's another 4. Move away all the debris, but we do need that, so don't throw it away completely. And then the last one. So again, in half, and then in 4, and then we pop the template on top and draw around. These are perfect to get the children having a go at. Obviously tell them to be careful with the scissors, but you can have some great fun making these. There we are. So now I have all of my petals done. I've got 3 sets of 4 in there. So now what I'm going to do is pick one little bundle up of 4 petals. I'm going to hold it between my finger and my thumb and gently just curl around my other finger. Now this is creating that lovely curl that you need, and I'm going to do that with all sets. So just hold between your finger and your thumb and curl. Now if you've got any spiky bits like me there, just give them a little trim, take them off. And then the last ones, and we just give them that nice curled shape. Okay, so the petals are now ready. The next little bit we're going to do is the centre, which is this bit here. Now I do advise you do this in advance and let it dry first, but if you haven't, then don't worry. Now the reason I've done my petals first is because I'm going to use the leftover pieces, which are these funny little pieces here. Now normally you'd throw them away, but I do like to do my bit of recycling, so I'm just stretching out the piece of paper, and yours might be a different shape to me, that's absolutely fine. We're going to get our wire and I'm going to push it through the paper and then through again. So we're doing this a few times, just pushing it through, random sections, and then the last one. There we are. So now I've got my paper and my wire is pushed through. Now I'm going to hoop the wire over the paper so that it seals it, and then just twist together. So just twist that wire down. Now what that's doing is anchoring this paper so that it's not going to fall off in any way. Now I'm going to get the paper and screw it up into a ball. Now if you've got too much here, if your ball is too big when you do this, now's the time to just get the scissors and cut a little bit away. I'm actually okay with that. I'm happy with the size of that ball, so I'm not going to cut any excess away. So what we're going to do now is get a little bit of yellow paper, and I'm going to cut a square. So there's my square. I'm going to pull, and obviously it gets a little bit bigger because this crepe paper has got lots of lines in it. Now this is going to wrap around this section. So I'm going to get my glue. Now I do like using this one, high tack, all purpose, very sticky glue. I find this is the best one to use, really, really good. I've tried other cheaper versions and it doesn't really stick. So just be aware of that. If you're there for a long time and it's not sticking, it's probably because your glue's not much good. So I've done dots all over the paper. I'm going to pop that on top and then squeeze around. Now again, don't worry about excess paper because we can cut that off, but what I want to do is really focus on that little bit there. I can see I've got a little bit too much excess paper here, so just going to trim that off like so, and that little bit there. There we are. So getting rid of the excess. You might find that it wants to stick to you as well rather than itself. There we are. Now ideally leave that to dry. So I'm going to bring one on that I've already done and it's already dried. Now the only difference is I've used a different colour wire, but I'm going to show you how to tape, so don't worry about that. Now this one's nice and dry. As you can see, it's much firmer. So now we're ready to put our petals on. So again, we're going to come back to the glue. Now this time, I'm going to put a little dot of glue at the bottom of every petal. So just separate your petals and do these individually. There we are. I don't tend to put them on straight away. It's nice that the glue sets a little bit, makes it a little bit more tacky, so don't rush this process. There we are. And then the last few. You might not need all of these petals. You might need more petals. It depends how you put this together. There's no real right or wrong way of doing this. As long as it looks like a beautiful flower, then you've won. So now I'm going to come back to my centre, the dry one, and I'm going to get my first petal and place it to the back and just hold for a second. Just see those little bits sticking up. I'm just going to remove any excess, but just hold that still and let that stick. That's your first petal on. And then we just keep going. So I'm doing this nice method where I'm adding the petals and it's half behind the other petal and half onto my centre. This is why I don't put the glue just on the centre. And if I turn it over, you can see that's gluing lovely. Just a nice firm hand now to really hold that glue in place. and we keep working our way around. Now the other good thing about this glue is that it dries clear, so you haven't got to worry if you've got any white bits showing, because it will all disappear. Just hold into place. And I do keep going back and pressing all the rest down as well. So you can see that's stuck down really, really well. And every time you do this, you'll probably use a different amount of petals. I know I do. And that's perfectly fine. So we just keep adding nice and gently all the way around, holding it down at the same time. And working our way around. Now we're coming close to the end, so this is where sometimes it's a good idea to stop and just look at your petals, make sure they are in the position, make sure they are stuck around the back properly and tight. And then I'm going to try and slide this one in, just there. Just a little bit behind the last one. It might not want to go, but that's okay. It still looks nice there. And really push it down. Have a look at it. Do you need an extra one or don't you? Again, this is your preference. You can add an extra. You could always go and do another layer as well, actually. That would look really nice. So you can make this as full as you want to. So I'm just holding this all together now. Holding it with my fingers. And then just making sure they're really coming out where I want them to be. Just tweak a little bit. There we have our lovely, lovely daisy. Now, depending what you're doing with this, depends on what I do next. I tend to do a lot of sort of bridal bouquets and finishing things. So I'm going to put it upside down so that it sits nicely. This isn't going to let those petals drop. And I'm going to show you how to do a little calyx. So we get our green, and I'm going to cut a very small strip. Now this is about 1 inch to 1/2 inch. And then with the scissors, I'm going to cut little triangles out. Now this is just a very quick and easy way of doing a calyx. If the calyxes were going to be on show and you were doing them for maybe buttonholes and things, then I would really take my time with them. But this is just a quick version for you. Okay, now the magic with this, I've done this so that the lines are going across those triangles that I've just cut. Reason being, when I stretch, can you see how those triangles now go into almost lovely long pieces of grass, like so. So I'm stretching the whole piece now, and then that is ready to be wrapped around the bottom. So a little bit of glue just on that bottom section, and then hold upside down. This is where it can get a little bit tricky because you need to gather it a little bit, like so. And mine's a little bit too long, which is okay because I've got my scissors and I'm going to trim it. There we are. If we wanted to add a little bit there, we can just trim off one of the little spikes. It's got a little bit of glue on already, and pop that there. There we are. So that's lovely. That's my back done. Oh, it's just fell off. Putting back on. Just holding for a second, just to make sure it does glue into place. And there we are. That is our daisy. Now, like I said, you can use green wires, which is what I started with. If you haven't got any green wire, you can get this florist tape, and then we're simply going to cut this in half. If you cut it in half, two things. One is that it goes a lot further, and it doesn't make your stems quite as thick as well, so it's quite nice. But if you haven't got florist tape, then just use the green wires and they'll be fine. Now I stretch to release the glue, and then I'm going to start wrapping around. Now, if it sticks to you, a little bit of corn flour just on your fingers, that will actually help it. It sounds strange, but it really works. And then we just pull the tape. As I'm pulling the tape, I'm twisting with my fingers all the way down to the end of the wire. And there we go, 2 beautiful flowers, all finished.